There was a lady I saw online that said as a travel nurse, she earned $150,000 in 8 months. I'm going to talk about their pay. I'm going to talk about different programs in which you can immigrate to Canada as a nurse. I'll talk about how you can get your licenses or the different types of nurses in Canada. And I'll also share a little bit about the education, like some of the programs that you can go for that will enable you to practice as a nurse in the long run. Travel nurse could earn between $70 to $120 an hour. And I'm like, what? Currently, the Ontario government is also giving out $25,000 if you have been employed between last year and March 2024. These people earn a lot of money. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Yemisi, and on this channel I create videos around settling into Canada as a student, permanent resident, and all those things related to immigration in Canada. I also share videos about myself from time to time through vlogs. So if you're interested in content like this, please subscribe. And for my returning subscriber, welcome back to the channel. Past 3 to 4 videos now, I have been having a series about affordable colleges, affordable universities. I also talked about provinces that will give you PR faster. So if you've not seen those videos, please go check those videos out. They will be very helpful for you. I wanted to take a break from that and then just dive a little bit into the nursing program. Canada has also issued a lot of immigration pathways for nurses, and I particularly feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this. I'm going to talk about their pay. I'm going to talk about different programs in which you can immigrate to Canada as a nurse. I will talk about how you can get your licenses or the different types of nurses in Canada. And I'll also share a little bit about the education, some of the programs that you can go for that will enable you to practice as a nurse in the long run. Also, I'll be sharing a particular program that is very close to my heart. I've talked about it before in a previous video. I'll try to remember what that video is and I'll link it up for you so that you can check it out. I talked a little bit about the nursing pathway there, and I'll explain some of the benefits that you get when you are eligible for the program and you enroll for the program. So don't go anywhere and make sure to watch to the end. A quick disclaimer before we start: I am not a licensed immigration consultant. I make videos on here based on the experiences of friends, colleagues, or some of the valid information on the Canadian immigration website. There are 2 people that I believe that you can watch. The first person will be AHS IEN. I'll put the name on the screen for you guys. She's currently a travel nurse. She makes videos about her life as a travel nurse, and she also made a video recently about how you can become a travel nurse or a registered nurse in Canada. Also, Onyeka Asamaka, both of them are in Ontario. Onyeka also shares videos here and there about being a nurse in Canada, so I'll advise that you watch them. I have a video on personal support workers. That's also a pathway into becoming a nurse in the long run. Of course, there are stages to that, but if you've never really had a medical experience or a nursing experience, you might start off from being a care worker and then transition into being a nurse. I have a video on that. I would link it up for you to see. I also have a video on how to get admission for masters in public health. Public health is also one of the programs that a lot of people enroll to for their masters once they are done with their undergrad degree in their home country. So you should also check that video out. I'll link it up here for you. One thing about the nursing program, or let's say the healthcare profession in general, is that there will always be a demand for it. The different types of nurses in Canada: number 1 will be the registered nurse. For this particular one, you have to obtain a 4-year baccalaureate degree in nursing from a college or a university, and there are also 2 or 3 years baccalaureate degree nursing programs that you can always explore as well. So either the 2 or 3 year degree program or the 4-year baccalaureate degree in nursing from a college or a university. When you're done, then you can become a registered nurse. Of course, it might not be automatically. You might have to probably take up some licenses, but it just means that once you have that degree, then you're on the right path of practicing as a nurse in Canada. The second one would be a registered practical nurse. This one is the RPN. The registered practical nurse is only in Ontario and Quebec. These RPNs obtain a 2 to 3 year diploma in practical nursing, and the RPN is equivalent to a licensed practical nurse in Canada. So if you are in Ontario and Quebec, what you would be studying would be practical nursing for you to be able to practice in Ontario and Quebec. But this RPN is also the same thing as the licensed practical nurse in other provinces in Canada. So which takes me to the next one, which is the licensed practical nurse, LPN. Unlike the registered practical nurse in Ontario and Quebec, the LPN is what you would be if you are in other provinces in Canada. So for instance, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Princess Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and Labrador, and the other territories. The licensed practical nurse is also equivalent to the registered practical nurse in Ontario and Quebec. If you are in Ontario and Quebec, you have to study in practical nursing, and the equivalent of that practical nursing is what you will study in the other provinces in order for you to practice as a licensed practical nurse. The next one that I have is the registered psychiatric nurse, which is called the RPN, but it's different from the registered practical nurse that I initially mentioned. So this RPN, the registered psychiatric nurse, is licensed to practice only in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the other territories. If you need a license to be a registered psychiatric nurse, you can only practice in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the other territories. Next one will be a nurse practitioner. A nurse practitioner is a registered nurse, or what we call RN, with additional training in advanced nursing, which can perform additional tasks in their defined area and scope of practice. So let us talk about the travel nurse. Guys, this travel nurse that we've been hearing for a while now, they get paid a lot, between $70 to $120 an hour. That is magnificent. While I was trying to do my research, I realized that as a travel nurse, you can be incorporated, which means that you can take all your income and figure out your taxes yourself. So you can be in charge of all your income without getting taxed, and then you can file for your taxes yourself. Also, a travel nurse works in a hospital where they are short-staffed as a nurse. Basically, they could call you anywhere within the province that you work in order for you to fill in the shortage of a particular worker in that particular hospital. Of course, you will get paid for traveling long distances as well. They have more freedom in order for them to practice because, like I said, they could be called anywhere, and it's somewhat according to your time. So you can basically say that you don't want to work within a particular period because you are not a full-time staff of a particular hospital. There was a lady I saw online that said as a travel nurse, she earned $150,000 in 8 months. Yes, you heard me right. Of course, there's going to be tax deduction at the end of the day, but that is a lot. In Ontario, you could earn between $70 to $120 an hour as a travel nurse. In Alberta, you could earn $80 to $100 an hour. In New Brunswick, you could earn $60 to $70 an hour. All of this depends on the agency that you are working with. In Newfoundland and Labrador, you could earn between $80 and $95 an hour. Saskatchewan, you could earn between $80 to $90 an hour. British Columbia, $55 to $65 an hour. Of course, I know that when people see this video, they would always refer to the fact that when you come from your home country as a trained professional, trained doctor, trained nurse, you still have to go through some licenses in Canada. Yes, that is very, very true. And I'm also going to explain some of the nursing licenses that you have to get when you are in Canada in order for you to practice. After students graduate from a recognized school, nursing students pass a licensing test before they can practice as a nurse. The first one is after completing a 2 to 3 year diploma program in nursing, pursuing the Canadian Practical Nurse Registration Examination, which is called the CPNRE, then you can work as an RN, a registered nurse. The second one is after completing a 4-year bachelor's degree in nursing and passing the National Council Licensure Examination, which is the NCLEX RN. I've heard NCLEX a lot of time from my friends that are working as not as a nurse right now, but in the process of getting a license. Also a computer-based exam. After completing a 4-year bachelor's degree in nursing and after passing this particular NCLEX exam, then you can work as a registered nurse. The third one is after completing a professional master's degree in nursing and passing appropriate nurse practitioner examinations, one can work as a NP, nursing practitioner. So you might be wondering how to immigrate to Canada as a nurse. I have a couple of lists for you. The first one is Targeted Express Entry Program. This program was recently introduced by IRCC. It's about 8 programs in this Targeted Express Entry programs. They have more than 80 occupations that you can always look out for to see if you are eligible for the program. One of these category is the healthcare category, which is the nursing category as well. So I'd advise that you should go search for the Targeted Express Entry Program on the cic.ca website, and you can get all the information that you need to know so that you can immigrate to Canada as a nurse. We have the Alberta Rural Nursing Pathway. This one is the AHS, which is Alberta Health Services International Educated Nurses Pilot Program. I would buttress a little bit more on this at the end of the video because the benefits are very, very juicy. When you are here with the College of Registered Nurses of Alberta under the Substantial Equivalent Pathway, and they have a lot of information there as well for you to become a licensed nurse to practice in Canada. So you should also go check the website out. Is under the Government of Alberta website, if I'm not mistaken. There's also the Ontario government Community Commitment Nursing Program, which I explained earlier. If you immigrate under the Targeted Express Entry Program, or that's the healthcare category, and you come into Canada and you start working, currently the Ontario government will pay you $25,000 for some months. That's for those people that have been working from last year to March 2024. Also, I wanted to talk about the education. So people ask me, they have diploma in say business administration or business studies, and they want to come to Canada to study a nursing related program like PGD and all. You can become a nurse if you study any of the following programs: physiology, anatomy, pathophysiology, epidemiology, microbiology, nutrition and dietetics, pharmacology, organic chemistry, and the likes. These programs are naturally expensive and they may be highly competitive to secure admission. Of course, the healthcare programs are usually highly lucrative programs and they tend to be highly competitive as well. So you need a sort of background in all of these programs that I mentioned in order for you to be on the right path to becoming a licensed nurse practitioner in Canada. The last part of this video would be talking about the AHS, Alberta Health Services Internationally Educated Nurses Pilot Program. It's called the AHS IEN pilot programs. Currently they are closed. They opened up in I think March or April or May. Between March to May was when they opened up, and a lot of people that found themselves eligible, that's those people that are already working as a nurse in their home country, applied for this, and of course the eligibility process started. After getting past the eligibility stage, you will get LMIA. These are the juicy benefits I'm talking about. You get LMIA and work permit to practice. You also get Alberta Provincial Nomination Program once you set up your Express Entry account, which automatically gives you 600 points towards your Express Entry score in the pool. Also, you don't need proof of funds, and your nursing assessment, which would have been done in the process of eligibility, would be converted to ECA. ECA is Educational Credential Assessment, so you don't have to do any WES verification. Normally, if you are in the Express Entry program and you did not study in Canada, you don't have a Canadian certificate, then you have to prove the authenticity of your degree, of your certificate, through WES, World Education Services. But with the nursing assessment, you do not have to do any WES evaluation. It gets converted automatically to ECA, and isn't that great? So once you get past those eligibility stage, your visa is processed by the province, and in no time you'll be here in Canada. I wanted to really touch on this because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the nursing program. And to reiterate what I said earlier, if you are very much interested in the nursing program, of course you have to go through diploma or some certificates and whatnot, but you can also start from being a personal support worker, from being a caregiver in homes, in group homes. That way you are on the right path of going into that profession. There are rural nurses as well. Provinces usually have rural areas and people live in these rural areas. What provinces will do is give incentive to these nurses to go to the rural areas. Some incentives can be taking care of your children, probably giving you like some benefits, you know, financial benefits, in order for you to continue to work as a rural nurse. So yeah, the nursing profession or the healthcare profession in general is a very juicy profession, although you have to go through different licensing procedures, but it's one of the highly paid profession. It's worth it. Of course, there's no job that doesn't have its cons, but these are the obvious pros. So I decided to share with you guys, and I hope that this video was helpful. You can share with your friends, share with your family members. Also like the video so that I know that you enjoyed this video, and of course subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.